Welcome to Echo at Africa. What do invasive plants have to do with schools? We'll solve that puzzle today in our European Pan-African Environmental Magazine. My name is Sharon Momanyi from Nairobi, Kenya, and joining me, of course, is my charming partner from Nigeria, Neota.
And a warm welcome from me too to all of our viewers who have tuned in for today's edition. We have another selection of enlightening reports about nature and the efforts by individuals to ensure that our planet is protected, taking us to Africa, around Africa, and Europe. Now, this is what we have lined up on the show today.
Here in Nigeria, we will be paying a visit to the vegetable farm of tomorrow, which boasts high yields with minimal quantities of water and soil. Also on the show, how an initiative in South Africa turns invasive plants into furniture for schools. And in Kenya, we report from the island of Lamu, where residents have launched a campaign to clean up the beaches and get tourist figures back up.
Some plants have been introduced from other regions and can spread like wildfire in their new habitats. Globalization has transported these invasive plants around the world. Some of them thrive in their new environment, and sometimes they wreak havoc there with very negative consequences, such as soil degradation or water scarcity for the local flora. In Cape Town, South Africa, with its unique biodiversity, alien plants are invading the area in and around the city. The governmental initiative, Work for Water, has devised an idea to make use of some of these invasive plants for the good of the citizens there. Let's go see this.
They look beautiful, but these trees are a major problem for South Africa. And that's why they have to be felled. What might look like wanton destruction is in fact helping indigenous flora. Alien invasion trees like eucalyptus from Australia wreak havoc on the ecosystem, explains Evil Masters.
They have no natural enemies here, so they grow rapidly, very quickly. And especially these eucalyptuses that you see behind me as well, the 3-year-old trees can absorb up to 90 liters of water a day, where the full-grown trees can take close to 1,000 liters a day of water.
The effects are huge.
Here you can see the river, and you can see the water line where the rivers are supposed to be and where the water actually is. And that's due to a lot of these trees absorbing a lot of the water.
It's a massive problem for the drought-stricken country, and not the only one caused by invasive plant species. There are about 200 of them in South Africa. They compete with indigenous plants, cause erosion, and intensify the impact of wildfires with devastating effects on flora, fauna, and humans. So there's reason enough for Ivo and his team to cut down the unwanted trees. It's a tough job. It will take the crew a year and a half to clear this 50-hectare piece of land, and that doesn't include the follow-up. The clearing action is part of Working for Water, a program run by the country's Department of Environmental Affairs. It provides jobs and skills training to unemployed people, and it makes use of the trees. The journey of the felled eucalyptus doesn't end here. On site, the trunks are cut into smaller lengths. Next up, the program's own wood mill in the nearby town of George. Here, the trunks are sawn into planks. To date, 3.2 million hectares of alien invasive plants have been cleared by the Working for Water program. Mill manager Emil Hopp shows the real money spinner in the operation, the woodworking factory. Lodgers, shelves, tables, chairs, benches, and even coffins. A wide range of furniture is produced here and sold to retailers and government departments. He stresses the program's holistic approach.
We are removing these alien vegetation from the environment, getting biodiversity back to the way it should be, as well as using this biomass to make useful products and in training people.
Countrywide, the program employs almost 40,000 people. The eucalyptus trees becomes part of the most important piece of furniture produced here, school desks. With only a few planks and screws, the workers manufacture sturdy desks out of invasive trees. State-run schools in South Africa are notoriously under-equipped. 700,000 learners have thus far received free desks through the program. Like in Gululetu, a township on the outskirts of Cape Town, the desks are in use here at the Mseki Primary School. Deputy Principal Gasela Mfunga has received 120 of them so far.
The fact that they are made out of wood instead of those single chairs that were made out of plastics. So these ones do not break easily.
The kids also seem to like their eco desks.
It is so comfortable and I like to sit with my friends.
Happy learners and fewer invasive trees, a useful end for the unwanted eucalyptus.
Now we'll look at a recycling project in Gambia, West Africa. In our weekly segment of Doing Your Bit, we'll be talking about bicycles, specifically the tires and the inner tubes. Often they're just thrown away onto the rubbish dump and they are burned, just like the car tires. But the women in the Gambia are doing something else with them. They are helping in that process to protect the environment as well. Let's go see what they're doing.
In Gambia, bicycles are often imported second-hand from Europe. Tires and inner tubes are reused as much as possible to make cycling more affordable and individual transport greener. Still, in the end, the tubes and tires usually end up at the dump. They're burned and emit toxic heavy metals. But now environmental activists from Women's Initiative, the Gambia, have started to chop up the rubber tire parts rather than burn them. And they transformed the inner tubes into beautiful accessories. A necklace costs about 20 euros. The profit is used to finance other recycling projects.
Do you like that? If you are also doing your bit, tell us about it. Visit our website or send us a tweet. #DoingYourBit. We share your stories.
More lands around the planet are of crucial significance. Where still intact, these natural habitats can store up to 10 times more carbon dioxide than other ecosystems on the average. Sharon?
And Neota, moors can store vast amounts of water, so they play a vital role in maintaining the Earth's H2O balance. But they are under threat all around the world. We take a look at a nature conservation project in Germany aimed at restoring devastated moors. The undertaking is supported by dozens of local volunteers.
These conservationists want to save the moorland near Gifhorn in northern Germany. Their most important work right now is uprooting young trees from areas that are too dry. Andre Data of the Nature and Biodiversity Conservation Union, NABU, has been working here for many years and leads the restoration project.
We're removing trees to keep the moorland open. Because it's so dry, the trees will otherwise keep growing and create a forest. Removing trees also reduces evaporation because water isn't being drawn out of the ground.
Uprooting the trees also helps protect the climate. The moorland stores considerably more carbon than forests. Too many trees would dry out the moor and slowly destroy it.
Moorlands are important for biodiversity. There are many rare plants and animals that only thrive on the moors and can't be found elsewhere in the landscape. To protect them, the moors must be maintained. And it's important for the climate because moors store carbon dioxide, which removes it from the atmosphere.
98% of the moorlands in Germany have already been destroyed through peat harvesting, logging, and agriculture. Eva Luthard teaches at the University of Sustainable Development in Eberswalde near Berlin. She's very familiar with the global threat to moorlands.
In Africa, for example, about 20% of moorland in Kenya and Nigeria has been put to agricultural use, making it a source of greenhouse gases. In Indonesia and Southeast Asia, there's a rapid deterioration as moors are being converted into palm oil plantations.
Peat has been harvested here for 200 years. Today it's mainly used as potting soil. That's caused the peat on the moors to decline from a depth of 6 meters to just half a meter. Andre Data and Doris Plenter of Nabu are hoping to restore moorlands currently being used for industrial purposes.
Moorlands need peat moss in order for the peat to develop. Peat moss is the most important plant when it comes to replenishing the moorlands. As peat is removed, barren areas are being created that could be replanted. So we're trying to grow as much peat moss as possible so that we can plant it on those barren areas. That will help the moorlands to recover.
To grow peat moss on a large scale, water needs to be returned to the moorland first.
To soak the area, we release the water. There's a board here, and when we remove it, the water flows through and fills the area.
As the moorland revives, it slowly recovers its former biodiversity. Many insect species can only survive on moorland. Peat moss also begins to grow again.
It's great that we were able to take land where all the peat was removed and restore it to a flourishing moorland. When you look down, you can see that the peat moss is growing again. It shows all our work was worth it.
The peat soil here will accumulate at the rate of about 1 millimeter per year, so it's a job that requires a lot of patience. It'll take about 6,000 years for the moorland near Gifhorn to fully recover.